Hey everybody, Joe from Joe of All Trades here, making you another cooking video. If you like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and if you want to give me money, go on over to Patreon. I'd appreciate it. So it's Monday night. I'm hungry. I've got all the ingredients at my house anyways to make this stuff, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make it. I'm like, why not just make a video of it, okay? What we're doing today is risotto. So creamy rice dish of Italian origin. It's can take some technical steps to complete successfully. However, it's really not that hard. Usually, it's something that people try, avoid making at home. Also, don't, it's something that they prefer to order at a restaurant than trying to make it at home. It's really not that hard, and I think it can be a great vehicle or a great piece of any good meal. So let's jump into the mise en place. So we're going to come on down here. All right, so what do we got? We have arborio rice. This arborio rice, shallot, garlic, Parmesan cheese, butter, chicken stock, white wine, olive oil, and additionally I have some goat cheese, some lemon, and some parsley. I'm going to bring this light on over here. So in order to make risotto, you have to use arborio rice. And if you take a look at it, it's kind of got a opaque center and kind of a translucent shell. The reason how we're going to get this thick and creamy rice dish without any dairy other than some butter and some Parmesan cheese is the fact that the starch within the rice is going to release, and in order for it to release, we have to cook this dish in a certain way. So and that's what I'll go ahead and show you how to do. The most basic is just shallot, garlic, Parmesan cheese. But it can be a vehicle for adding anything. You want mushrooms, shrimp, asparagus. I mean, the world is your oyster when it comes to this dish. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pot on this medium stove. And I'm just kind of freewheeling it here. So bear with me. Where my cooking equipment is going to be, or my camera equipment is going to be covered in food as I continue to go. The chicken stock I already have here. It's on the stove. It's already hot. It needs to be hot in order for this dish to work. My pan got a little toasty there, so I'm going to pull it off as I continue to talk. What we're going to do, I'm going to throw in 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm also going to hit the pan up with about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then I'm going to get these. I'm going to get the shallot in the pot first. This is a pretty hot pan, so I'm going to try to get this working quickly. You don't want to saute it. It's a little hot right now. I'm going to get it down. Turn it down just a touch. You don't want to saute these, but you do want to sweat them. So obviously just want to sweat those down. And at the proper time, I'm going to add my garlic. I'm not adding any salt just yet because there is a lot of salt in the stock. We can salt this later. Plus we're putting in Parmesan cheese. if we need to. Or, I mean, we're going to put in Parmesan cheese, so we're adding a lot of salty elements already. And that garlic's just going to take a second to cook. You're going to smell it, and really, once you smell that garlic, it's cooked. So now I added in the rice. And what I'm doing with this rice is I am toasting it. And this is a necessary step. This is kind of waking up the center of the grain of rice. And once this gets toasted, then we'll be able to begin adding the liquid to start pulling that starch out of there and making this thick and creamy. This is a part of the process where you do kind of got to pay attention to it a lot. People usually stay away from risotto because they, you know, I've heard on the cooking channel and stuff, they're like, it takes at least 40 minutes of constant stirring in order to get this done properly. And I've done it quicker than that. I've seen episodes of Chopped where they get risotto done in like 20 minutes or so. It's hard to pull off, but it's possible. And it's really, you know, if you enjoy cooking, like me, I don't mind it. It's worth the end result, if you ask me. So I'm feeling that's getting pretty well toasted there. I'm starting to see the rice, all of the rice, you mean the entire grain of rice within them, start to turn white. So it's telling me that the starch is coming out. So So what I just added in there was the white wine to kind of deglaze. I'm going to add a little bit more. Maybe half a cup and then some. The acid in the wine is going to give this kind of an acidity, a brightness. If you are a friend of Dr. Bob and you don't consume alcohol, even when the alcohol is cooked off, I would suggest doing maybe like a water vinegar, like a diluted vinegar. That might be nice. If it's going to remain light, you're not having a dark or rich accoutrement, I would probably do just white vinegar. But if you're adding something dense like sauteed mushrooms or whatever, you could do like a red wine vinegar or sherry vinegar. And so this is the next step of the risotto. So what we're doing here, and I just did 2 ladlefuls, is we are adding the stock slowly. And what we want to do is start cooking this rice. And what we want it to do is we want the rice to absorb all this stock, and it will. It'll drink it right up. And we're going to continue to stir, get everything in the pot moving. And you'll see, the first use of stock, after the wine's pretty much all cooked down, then you add your first, I always do like 2 ladlefuls of stock. But then as we continue in this process, I will want to just add one at a time. And basically, we'll just keep adding stock as the rice continues to cook and continue to absorb it. And basically, you're just going to add stock until you are standing over this and you realize that the risotto is, the rice is not going to take any more stock. It's completely saturated. The starches are released. And then obviously you'll be able to taste the rice and know that it's toothsome, but it's still cooked, and by toothsome, you can also, refer to just al dente. I mean, it's got some bite to it. It's not complete mush. So I'm going to turn this heat down a little bit. I don't want it to boil. I kind of want it maybe a little bit more aggressive than a simmer, but not a boil. And then once this is fully cooked, the rice won't, absorb any more stock. That's when I'm going to add this other 2 tablespoons of butter, the Parmesan cheese, a little squeeze of lemon juice, the parsley, and then I'm going to add in the goat cheese too, because I had that too, and I just, goat cheese is a typical accoutrement of risotto. I'm going to serve this up with some roasted green beans and a cute little coulette steak that I picked up from Mustard Seed. I'm not going to cook the green beans or the steak on camera, but I will take a photo of it and put it up on Instagram. I just kind of wanted to show, that even risotto on a weeknight is not all that much of a investment of your time. This is one of my favorite things to make for my dad when I'm cooking him dinner, because he's allergic to milk, so he can't really, he'll get a headache, so he can't really eat a whole lot of cheese. Obviously, this has butter and has Parmesan cheese in it, but there's not a whole lot of milk content in Parmesan cheese anymore. I mean, you can leave it unrefrigerated. And then the butter, that doesn't seem to bother him too much. So he can experience something with a creamy profile, and he doesn't have to get a headache over it. So you can serve up risotto with just about any type of protein. Normally you'll see it shrimp, scallops, but it can really fit anything. Chicken, like I said, I'm having it with steak tonight. A little pan steak. It was also on sale at Mustard Seed, so it looked good. So I'm like, whatever. Risotto is also open for a lot of wine. So, it really depends on the accoutrement that you are, that the risotto is getting served with, or the protein. So, obviously, if you're doing risotto with mushroom or something like that, that might lend itself more to a red. But obviously, if you're having yourself a seafood risotto, then that would lend itself more to a white. So, it's a really utilitarian dish. So as you can see, as we continue to go here, this stock is just getting eaten up by the rice. And I'm just going to keep just adding a ladle, and then when I start to notice that it's the rice isn't sucking up the stock as much, that's when I pretty much know that it's ready to go. Good thing about risotto too is that if you're entertaining, you can make a bunch of it ahead of time, and it's actually really pretty easy to reheat or re-prepare. basically, I mean, if you're gonna put cream in it, you can shoot it. You know, you can put cream in it just to, you know, in a hot pan like this. Just put the cold risotto in there. Put cream in there if it's gonna be creamy. But if not, just add more stock. And just heat it up, and just so it can, you know, because it will get dense. It will brick up, so to speak, once it cools off. But you can wake it back up with just anything. I mean, even if you don't have any more stock, even just water. But obviously, adding additional flavors is always beneficial. So I worked at Ken Stewart's for many years. So they always had. Sometimes they'd have two risotto preparations. Sometimes, or you know, they'd have at least one. I think usually now they currently have. No, I mean, I don't know as of like today, October 27th, 2025, but they usually have a seasonal preparation where the risotto has, you know, seasonal accoutrement. You know, in summertime it might be like roasted corn, maybe a little bit of bacon, something like that. You know, in the past, in the fall time, they've done, you know, something like a butternut squash risotto or something like that. And they used to have like it was like a truffle risotto, and it was always with scallops. And say if you're in the Akron area and you want great scallops, go to Ken Stewart's Grill. Can't beat them. Shout out to Jerm and the boys. I learned really, you know, how I learned how to cook, you know, when I started working at Ken Stewart's. I was 17. I was going back in the kitchen to expedite by the time I was maybe 18 or 19. And I didn't, you know, before then I was really just kind of like a cheeseburger, mac and cheese, meat and potatoes kind of guy, kind of kid. But they really opened up my eyes that food isn't just a fuel. It could be an art form. And this can food can transport you to faraway lands. You don't have to go anywhere. I hope to make it to Italy one day and eat plenty of pasta and risotto there, but until then, I can do this at home. All right. Get some ASMR vibes on this video. It is stirring. So I'm just going to go ahead and check. There's still plenty of bite in that rice. So you'll be amazed how much rice you start off with and how big it gets. This is just a cup of rice, and by the time I'm done with this, this will be 2 large portions. Maybe even more than that. Towards the end, I'm gonna put, you know, obviously taste it. I want the appropriate amount of salt, pepper, you know, that sort of thing. But like I said, we're putting in, hey, dog's at the kitchen. Dog's at the kitchen. putting in cheese. The stock is salty, so we want to make sure that everything is not, don't want to over salt because then you can't take it back. I mean, I know I'm kind of doing this for dramatic effect. I'm sitting here, and obviously I can't really do much while I'm filming this. You know, you can walk away from this. It's like, I'm not saying for a long time, but obviously you don't want the rice to stick at the bottom of the pan. But like, you really, you know, if you need to step away for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, just to, you know, get something else going on in the kitchen, go ahead and do it. Like I said, this is something that you can make ahead of time. So, and even, so like what am I doing? I'm making green beans and a little bit of steak after this. Just a little skillet steak. I can cook this, put it on the back of the stove, put the lid on it, and it's going to stay hot while my other stuff cooks. It's dense. It's going to keep its heat. So as you can see, those starches are releasing from the grains of rice, and it's starting to be a little bit slower going as the rice absorbs the stock. What we want to do is, we're not there yet, but we want to get to a point where we can kind of push the risotto across the bottom of the pan, and it leaves a trail that doesn't get immediately filled back in by the other risotto and the rice, or, you know, the rice around it. So we're getting there. I'm looking on the timing of my video. It's at 23 minutes right now since starting. That included our little chit chat at the beginning, showing you the mise en place. So I don't expect it to take too much longer. But I always hear 40 minutes. I'm always like, and most of the time it seems like it's 10 minutes too long. If you are going to prepare this ahead of time, like I am, you know, I put it on the back of the stove, you know, just, you know, without any, you know, just the residual heat with the lid on, kind of keep it hot. The rice is going to continue to cook. So always contemplate that. You really don't want this to get gummy, because that's no bueno. I'm just gonna put it in this. So that's all the stock I got. So if in a pinch I'm sitting over this and I realize that I don't have enough stock to finish it off, then I'll go ahead and use water. But you know, I even had under a cup. It was more along the lines of 3/4 of a cup of risotto rice, and this took 4 cups of stock. So it just goes to show you how much starch is actually in this rice and how much it absorbs that. So I'm just going to let that there. Throw my green beans in the oven. Ooh. We're almost there. So, and I'll say this too, the wine that I just used the cheapest Pinot Grigio that Mustard Seed had. It was like $7 a bottle. I've had it before in the summertime. It's pretty good. I mean, people always say, oh, only cook with wine that you would drink. And, I disagree with that to some. You can use the cheap stuff as long as the cheap stuff doesn't have fake stuff in it or it's overly sweet or anything like that. Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay. I would stay away from more sweeter wines when you're using the risotto, like a Moscato or even a Riesling. You don't want this to be sweet. It's not rice pudding. So I can see a little bit more collected liquid. I'm gonna let that continue to get worked into the rice. All right. So it's certainly al dente. I feel like it could use a little bit longer. There's still some residual liquid, so another couple of minutes here. But this is what you want. So when you're sliding it, you see that? I don't know if you can see it in the steam, but when you slide the risotto across the pan, the rice doesn't, just immediately fill its place. Sorry, I keep I'm saying risotto, I'm saying it right, saying rice. I'm using it interchangeably, but I'm not going to need any more liquid. This is just about perfect. I'm going to turn this heat off, but obviously this is an electric stove, so it's going to stay hot on there. Might move it off because I don't want the Parmesan cheese to get gummy. I'm going to throw in that other tablespoon of butter and just kind of stir that in. Just make it glossy. Yeah, this is going to be good. All right, kind of stir that butter in. Now I'm going to stir in this Parmesan cheese. I'm going to squeeze half a lemon. This is just for some acidity, just for some brightness. Risotto is a dense dish. Obviously, it can be served with light things like seafood, stuff like that, but it is a rib sticking dish. I can smell that lemon coming off. That smells good. All right, I'm going to hit it with pepper. I like pepper a lot, so if you hear me grinding away, you don't have to do the same. But I like pepper. Also, got my parsley here. I'm going to add that in at the end. That looks good. Like I said, you can add whatever you want to this. Mushrooms, asparagus, squash. I mean, squash might be a little high in water content, but anyways, going to give this a go. Yep, that's perfect. Toothsome. You do have to bite down on the rice, but once I cover this up and put it on the back of the stove while I finish the rest of my meal, it might soften up a little bit, but it's not going to be overdone. One last thing I'm going to add is a new spoon. As you can hear, I'm going to add in the goat cheese, and I'm just gonna mix it in. If you want to do crumbles over top, feel free, but I kind of like the flavor of the goat cheese to be throughout. So I'm just kind of working it around the pan to get it all melted. And that tanginess from the goat cheese is really going to shine through. If you want to reuse this risotto, I just thought to myself, what you can do is, put it in the fridge. Once it's cold, make little balls of it, dredge them, egg wash, breadcrumbs. You got yourself arancini. All right. So I'm going to give it another little go with the goat cheese. That's good. Go here, cover that up. You going this way. So, risotto, little time consuming, little technical, but really at the end of the day, you should not be waiting to go out to eat to have this. You'll be able to find the rice at any, most stores, even Acme. You'll definitely be able to get it at DeVita's. Shout out to DeVita's Italian Market. You'll definitely be able to get it at Whole Foods. It's really not that hard. It's really worth your time and your effort, and it pairs great with just about anything. So, enjoy. If you like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you out there. Cheers.